In today's lesson, I'm going to talk about activity 1.3.9, the Snowflake project. So let's get started. So you can see I have OnShape open up. I'm going to go up to create, new document. I'm going to give it a good name. Call it Snowflake. I'm going to put my last name at the end of it. It's going to make it easier later on to find out whose is whose. And we'll hit OK. Now, of course, I want to turn off a couple of these work planes. So I'm going to turn off my right and my top work plane. So I just need my front. Now I'm going to show you a couple new commands today. I'm going to show you how to insert an image, and I'm also going to show you how to do a mirror pattern. So let's get started. I'm going to put a new sketch on here, and I'm going to look straight at it. Now I'm going to bring in an image to help me draw. You do not have to bring in an image to make your own snowflake. You can go random, but I am going to bring in an image kind of to help me make this. So what I'm going to do is go up to this command right here, and I'm going to go to insert image. And I don't have one stored, so I'm going to go down here to import. I have one stored somewhere else. I have one in my documents, so I'm going to scroll down here and find my little snowflake. There it is. And I'll select open. Okay, just like a part, there it is. I'm just going to double click on it. I'm going to come over here and paste it anywhere. And then I'll open it up. Now, I want to definitely use my origin. It's going to help you out later on when you start doing a circular pattern or when you start doing your mirrors and laying it out. So you definitely want to use your origin point in this activity. So I want my snowflake to be right in the center of that origin. So the easiest way for me to do that is I'm going to make two diagonals like that. And then I'm just going to trim off just so I can find it real quick. A couple of the edges so I can find that point real quick. So that point is in the middle of this drawing. So I'm going to use my coincidence constraint. I'm going to grab the center point of that and the center in my origin and snap it right down on there. So that's looking pretty good right now. We'll hit escape. Now, the biggest my snowflake can be is 2.8 inches. So I'm going to make a circle. I'm going to start again right on my origin, bring it out. I'll dimension that to 2.8. There we go. And now I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Now I'm going to make the snowflake bigger because I want to take advantage of all that 2.8. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this drawing. I'm just going to stretch it until I get close to the edge of that circle. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit so I can stretch it maybe just a little bit more. There we go. So I'm going to stretch it out just a little bit more. Now I'm going to get rid of some of these lines that I don't need anymore, just to keep them out of the way. So that's about as big as I want to get. So the first thing is I want to start and I want to get this symmetrical. And I know that I have 6 arms here. So if I take 6 and divide it into 360, I know that it's a 60-degree angle from the center of this one to the center of that one. So I could draw my line in. I want to start straight up and down. I'm going to draw this line in right there. And I'm going to draw another line in right over here. Now I'm going to go to my dimension tool. I'm going to select those 2 lines. And I want to make sure that they're at 60 degrees. I'm going to put another line in because I'm actually going to save myself even more time. I'm going to put a line in right here. And I'm going to dimension that one. And I'm going to make that. Let me go back, put it back in. From here to here. We'll go to dimension. From here to here. And I'm going to make that 30 degrees. Whoop. Go back to my front face. Let me zoom in because I can tell right now that this pie shape looks like this pie shape. It's just mirrored over. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to only draw just a little part of this snowflake. I'm going to mirror it over and then I'm going to do a circular pattern. So let me get started here. So I'm just going to make some random lines. I'm going to draw this all the way down here until it hits. I'm going to draw a couple more lines, and then I'm going to start using some of my geometric constraints. I'm going to try to get this one as close as possible. And I'll draw a couple more. And maybe 2 more. One from here to that line. And and one more from this line to that line. Okay. Now, in this activity, you have to use several geometric constraints. So I'm going to start putting some of those in right now, and I need to use some dimensional constraints. So I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to stick a dimension on that right there. And I'm going to make it something here. So I'm going to make it 0.075. Something nice and easy. Okay. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to pull this down maybe just a little bit, so it's close to that line right there. Now I'm going to look at this area right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this. I'm going to pull this one down just a little bit and maybe pull that one up just to kind of line it up a little bit more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lock this one in place. So I'm going to use the fix or lock constraint, and I'm going to lock that one right in place because I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to lock that one right in. And if you notice, it turns black, tells me it's all locked in. I'm going to now go up and use my parallel constraint. I'm going to make sure this one and this line are parallel. And I'm going to then go back and make sure that this line and this line are parallel. This line and this line are parallel. And one more between this one and that one. The next thing I want to do is I want to use my perpendicular constraint because I want these nice and square. So I'm going to make these two perpendicular. These two should automatically be perpendicular. I'm going to go back and make sure these two are perpendicular and those two are perpendicular. I'm going to go up, grab my dimension tool, and I'm going to come up here and put a dimension on, and I'm going to make that something simple. So 1.15. That looks pretty good. I'm going to keep this one the same. So 0.15. That's looking pretty good. Liking what it's looking like right now. It looks pretty good. And I don't think I have to add any more dimensions on. I think everything is looking pretty good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of a lot of stuff that I don't want to mirror. Okay. So I'm going to X out that command. Well, I don't really need to mirror this line, so I'm going to delete it. I don't need to mirror this line anymore. I don't need it, so I'm going to delete it. I'm going to leave this line in because this is the line I'm going to mirror. I'm going to flip this over onto this side over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to window everything. Whoop, move that back. We'll go up to our mirror command, which is right here. I'm going to window everything that I want to mirror. And then I need to pick a mirror line. So I'm going to pick this line right here. And you can see that, wow, it plopped it right over and real nice for me. It looks identical. I'm going to use my little trim tool. And I'm going to get rid of some of this other stuff that I don't need. So I'm going to trim out this and this one. I'm going to trim out that. And I'm going to trim out all this right here. I don't need all those lines. I'm going to get rid of this line right here because I don't need it anymore. So I want to get it out of my way so I can see what everything looks like. And it's looking pretty good. I don't need my circle anymore, so I'm just going to get rid of it. So now I have just this shape right here. All right, so we'll slide it up a little bit. We'll zoom out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my circular pattern. Now, I could do circular pattern either in 2D or 3D. I'm just, for this activity, I'm going to do it in 2D. So I'm going to go circular pattern. And I'm going to grab everything I want to put around my center point. Now it has my center point right here, which is looking pretty good. Now I know I have 6 of these, and there's my 3. It's tough to find. I'm going to go and type 6. And you can see that it actually has put them all in. They've gotten darker. So I'm just going to left click. And there they all are. So I'm going to finish my sketch. I always like to go into isometric mode. We're going to extrude. I'm going to grab that whole sketch. And I always want to make the first one go backwards. And our constraints say that this has to be 0.125. So I'll make it go back 0.125. And as you can see, there is my nice snowflake. I'll turn off this so you can see it. There's my nice snowflake. Real quick and easy to do. Now you can use an image to help guide yourself if you want, or you can just do it freehand. But if you use arcs like I did, those angles of 60 degrees, 30 degrees, figure out how many you want in there, it's going to make your life a lot easier. The last thing I want to show you is how to export this. So I'm going to go down here where it says Part Studio 1. I'm going to right click and select export. When it comes up, I'm going to give it a name. Put my last name after it. And then I'm going to make sure that it says SolidWorks because I'm going to send this to a laser cutter. So it's got to make sure I say SolidWorks, and then I'll hit OK. Now it's going to be my downloads folder. So I'm going to go get my downloads folder and upload it to where it needs to be. So I hope you enjoyed this video.